will be good enough this year to beat a team that was in the playoffs in 2024. I'm going to tell you which team I think they have the best chance against.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. We are free to get anywhere you get your podcast or on YouTube, and I am your host, AJ Black. I'm the editor of Eagle Insider. I've been covering Boston College for over 10 years. I've been the host of this show for over 1,000 episodes. If you're looking for scoops, analysis, and details on your Boston College Eagles, you are in the right place. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Check out FanDuel. Now, on today's show, I've been warning myself I wasn't going to talk about it, but I have an angle here. Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson. I'm going to talk about how the fiasco going on in UNC could actually benefit Boston College. I'll explain what I mean by that in just a moment. I'm going to also look at I'm going to play a little scheduling game here. We're going to look at 3 teams. I want to tell you who I think a win against one of these 3 teams would mean the most for Boston College as a program. And I'll rank them. I will also rank who I think BC has the best chance to beat. So let's get this party started here. Let's talk about what I was going to get into. Boston College in their 2025 schedule has 3 playoff teams from 2024. All of them are at home. They're going to play Notre Dame, they're going to play Clemson, and they're going to play Southern Methodist, SMU. So the question I'm going to ask, as a program, Boston College obviously has had, the highs haven't been as high as you'd like to see them in the last 15 years. You've had some nice moments. The USC win obviously was a big moment. Last year, beating FSU to start the season was a lot of fun. You know, there's been some good wins, but you haven't had a top 10 win in ages. You have to go back probably to Matt Ryan's day, I think, to get that top 10. No, USC, but you have to go back to 2013 to get one of those wins. So my question is, if you were to beat one of these 3 teams, Clemson, Notre Dame, SMU, which win would mean the most for Boston College? And I have an answer for this. So I'm going to start in reverse order. The one that would mean the least is the one you've beaten most recently, and that's SMU. You beat them 2 years ago. You at the Fenway Bowl. You almost beat them last year. They were kind of a fraudulent playoff team just to begin with, because they just did not look like they belonged when they got there. So beating them, if they were a top 10 team, would be probably the least impressive of all of them. Now, if you read the preseason polls, they're not a top 10 team right now, but they have Kevin Jennings, and I'm buying on Kevin Jennings. I think he's an excellent quarterback. So there's a good chance that when BC gets SMU, they're going to be a very good team. But in terms of program changing, compared to the other 2 schools we're going to talk about, I have to put them last. I mean, it's not even close, because the other 2 are so more historic when it comes to the BC rivalry. So that goes to number 2. My number 2, in terms of what it would mean for the program, would be Clemson. And these are very close. I know that they're bigger rivals with Notre Dame, so that's going to obviously push them over the edge. But, man, a win over Clemson would also be huge, because you look at what Clemson has this year. They have an A-plus defense. They have A-plus wide receivers. They have an A-plus quarterback. And as much as some people don't like them, they got an A-plus coach in Dabo Swinney. This team is going to be as good of a Clemson team as we've seen since Trevor Lawrence. They have everything. So if you could beat them, that would be absolutely massive. You have not beaten Clemson since 2011. You've had many, many, many close chances. Well, not many. I just go back to the poor Alec Lindstrom botched fumble game. You've had a few chances where you could have beaten them. You haven't been able to do it. So, yes, beating Clemson would be huge. And You look at the ratings right now, Clemson is number 3 in a lot of the polls that I've seen. They're projected to be one of the best teams in the country. So, you would get, they are on a, what are they on for a winning streak? They're on a 12-game winning streak against BC. So beating them at home, that would be huge. But we're talking Boston College here, folks. This is a Boston College podcast. And if you're listening to this, you know who should be number one. It's a team you have not beaten since 2009. Your storied rivals who have won 8 in a row. And honestly, it hasn't been all that close. Last time you lost to them, 44-0. You lost 45-31, 47, 49-20. I mean, you just go looking at all the scores. It's been ugly for a while now. It's Notre Dame. Notre Dame is going to be a top 10 team as well. And while maybe the quarterback situation isn't as dynamic as either of the other two, because I would say out of the three, Clemson and SMU have better quarterback situations than Notre Dame does right now. But it's Notre Dame. You know what Notre Dame's going to have. They're going to have a tough as nails offensive line, a tough as nails defensive line. Winning at home against Notre Dame would to me be the icing on, like, would be the crowning achievement for the Bill O'Brien era right away. Because since 2009, that last time he beat them, that was Jimmy Clausen, to now, the gap between the talent level Notre Dame had and the talent level BC has is astronomical. Notre Dame, credit to Brian Kelly and Marcus Friedman, they have done an excellent job of putting them at the top in terms of recruiting. Like the level of where the two schools at is so disparate. But hey, a very good Notre Dame team lost to Northern Illinois last year. It can happen any given Saturday. And when you're playing at home in the Holy War, you never know. So for a win like that, that would, I think a lot of the times I've been watching Bill O'Brien, it's vanquishing ghosts that have haunted this team. And it can be on the recruiting trail where you're getting all these local recruits and you're vanquishing that haunting feeling that BC can't recruit locally. Or it's on the field when you beat FSU at FSU, something you never did. Or you pull off 4 wins in a row. You can vanquish a lot of ghosts, but there's bigger specters out there. Beating Notre Dame would be the biggest. This would put Boston College on the map, a win like this. So in terms of playoff teams to beat and what it means to the program, the biggest one has to be Notre Dame. You have to, that seems very logical, but it would really mean a lot. For the Notre Dame people that continually call BC Fredo. And, there's a generation of BC and Notre Dame fans that have never seen BC beat Notre Dame. They don't remember what it was like to see Anthony Gonzalez score that touchdown or to see David Gordon hit that field goal to win it. They've just seen Notre Dame pasting BC. So a win, that would change a lot in this rivalry. And that would be the biggest for Boston College. In our second segment, I'm going to rank the 3 of these teams in most likelihood of winning the game. I'll explain how that ranking went for me in just a moment. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more than ever to play to make it big and win big. What would it look like to combine live props mid-game? Seeing on the action unfolds, it's so much fun. That's what I love when I'm watching the game and I'm going, oh man, the Celtics, they're starting to run away with this. What is the spread? It's going to get bigger. It's going to get bigger. You can get that live spread right away. Boom, hit it. You're good. And how about a $200 in bonus bets add to your excitement when you win with that $5 bet? Now that's what FanDuel is all about. So are you new to FanDuel? It's the perfect time to sign up. With the Celtics in the playoffs, the Knicks, it's a fun time to do it. So head over to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. So make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook betting partner of the NBA. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black. For all of you who are first listening to this, you're a first listener. You wake up in the morning, you get that cup of coffee, you turn on the dulcet tones of AJ Black. I want to thank each and every one of you and all of you that have made us part of. If you're an everydayer, you listen to this 5 days a week. Thank you. We are the biggest Boston College podcast out there. We're the only daily Boston College podcast. It's because of you, the listeners, that make this worthwhile. Now, I just gave you the 3 playoff teams on the 2025 Boston College football schedule. And I was talking about which would mean the most if BC wins. Now, of course, they could win more than one game. I'm not getting greedy yet here. I'm just talking about them winning one of them because that would be enough. But given where those 3 schools are at and BC's at, how does it go in terms of likelihood of winning a game? And so I'm going to rank these in reverse order. The team that I feel out of these 3 that BC's least likely to beat is Clemson. I think Clemson is an absolute wagon this year. Peter Woods is going to potentially be the top draft pick of the class next year, or 1, 2, or 3. You've got Cade Klubnik, who will be a top 10 draft pick. You've got Bryant Wesco. You've got that other wide receiver. This team is stacked. This is going back to the times of Christian Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence and all these talented players. It feels like Clemson finally started to hit again in the recruiting windows. Dabo's got his team humming. In terms of a talent gap, it seems the biggest to me. Like, that offensive line for BC, as I said, should be okay, but they got to be really dang good to stop Clemson's pass rush because they're going to be relentless. This team is really, really good. So I think Clemson is definitely, I actually think this is kind of a chasm here where I think there's a very big difference between the likelihood BC beats this team versus any of the other 2. So I'm going to put Clemson way at the bottom. The second team I'm going to put is Notre Dame. I still think that in the trenches, it's still a tough battle for BC. I really wish Donovan Azaraku and Cam Horsley. Last year's team with Grayson James probably would have had a better chance than what we have this year, just because you'd have had Azaraku, you would have had those offensive linemen. You'd probably be in a better shot, but we're going to have to wait to see how BC's offensive line holds up because, Notre Dame, that's the thing with them every year, is their offensive line is going to be awesome. It's always awesome. They're I joke about BC being offensive line but when you really dig deep, it's Notre Dame is like right up there with like Ohio State. That's just the way it is. Like they've just been building it, and it's going to be tough when you have a defensive line that has a lot of question marks right now, that doesn't have a stud either edge rusher or defensive tackle. That's going to make beating Notre Dame more difficult. Now, I think they're more beatable than Clemson. Their quarterback, I think, is definitely good. The more I hear about CJ Carr, the more I think like he hasn't played yet, but this guy's going to be the next big thing. Obviously, if Steve Angeli just left, who's not a bad quarterback at all, that shows you where Marcus Freeman thinks of this quarterback. And they have the best running back in the nation. Jeremiah Love is, if you ever watched him play, he's to me like the next coming of Saquon Barkley, like explosive and really, really hard to tackle. So this is going to have to be a game where Tim Lewis dials up something exotic to figure this thing out. So if I was to say like odds, I would put like Clemson really low, like 5% chance of winning. Notre Dame like 20%. And the next one, I think BC could. I'm not going to vote that they're going to lose this game, and that's SMU. BC played them on the road last year and took them to the wire. Now, they don't have Ezeraku. They don't have Horsley. But I thought last year, Kevin Jennings obviously looked really good at times. But there were, especially I think it was the third or fourth quarter, BC started coming back, and they were able to fluster him at home. I think this could be a different story. I think BC could beat SMU, especially if the offense is clicking and get some points on that SMU defense. It was just that one. There was a couple plays in that game that really turned it, but BC was right there with them. And I don't think of SMU being drastically better than last year. I don't think BC's better than last year either, but that's neither here nor there. I think SMU's beatable. I think BC could win that game. So my choices, and I want you to sound off in my comment section. In terms of beatability, Clemson, Notre Dame, and the most likely is SMU. Will Boston College beat a playoff caliber team this year? We're going to have to wait to see. The one thing I do want to say is I do believe that Bill O'Brien, in his process of continuing to improve the depth of this roster and doing better at recruiting on top of all of that and developing his players, is going to make this a much more likely thing to happen, not just this year, but years down the road. Because I think as more and more guys continue to build and they have more options, he's going to have more, things to play with and guys to work with. But I think the chance of winning a game like this will be much higher in years future. It's just, this is year one of his guys. So it's a little bit tougher, but they're all at home too. That's the other piece. We'll have to wait to see what happens there. Now, in our final segment, I had vowed to myself to not talk about Bill Belichick and his girlfriend situation, but I'm going to wrap it up in a piece that will make it make sense of why this impacts Boston College. I'll explain how in just a moment. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives business flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Finding the right talent is easy. If you need help with the marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who deliver incredible results. And the best part, it's cost effective. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork finds affordable top-tier freelancers to scale your business efficiently. So visit Upwork.com and post your job for free. That's Upwork.com, UPWORK.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black, and thank you all who have checked out this episode. If you've not checked out the other two from this week, make sure you go back and check that out as well. Also, check out Locked On ACC on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, wrapping things up here, I'm going to talk about Bill Belichick for a moment here, because going into December, the talk of everything in college football was, oh, Bill Belichick is coming back to college football, and this is going to be a big deal. And yes, I'm a Patriots fan. He's the greatest NFL coach of all time. Or you could say Don Shula too, but look at the rings. Bill's got quite a few more. Now he's in the college world at 74 years old, and looked like things were just kind of starting off smoothly. Now this new girlfriend thing with him has really put a wrench into his philosophy of keeping out outside distractions. Now, I don't care about any of this. I gotta tell you, I was on Locked On ACC, and I really don't care that he's dating a 24-year-old or that she's his publicist or whatever. But this is Locked On BC. How can I turn this story into something about Boston College? Well, first of all, the one interesting thing is all of this has happened because of one reason. She is playing the role that now Boston College Chief of Staff Burge Nigerian did for Bill Belichick for 30 years. Now Burge is at BC, and he is a logistical genius. He does everything that keeps the truck and train moving in the right direction. So you've replaced this guy who won you championships, was doing all the logistical work you never heard about, and worked in the shadows. You replaced him with a 24-year-old that's right out of college who doesn't seem to know anything. And look what's happening. So the Burge Nigerian effect is absolutely real here, folks. And how lucky Bill O'Brien is to have him working his staff and not down in Chapel Hill. So that's a check in the right box for Bill O'Brien over Bill Belichick. Now, the other piece I want to bring up, I could go back over dozens of my podcasts, and anytime I talk recruiting, I get in my comment section, well, Bill Belichick is going to beat Bill O'Brien locally because he's Bill Belichick and he's a legend around here. Well, that's great and all, but right now, you look at the state of the two programs. One of them is a circus where it's just nonstop drama and for all the wrong reasons. And the other is a well-oiled machine that is improving daily. Now, for some kids, that may not make a difference. But when it will make a difference is when that circus costs UNC games. There is no way that this stuff is not going to end up impacting UNC at some point, whether it's on the recruiting trail or on the field. I think more likely on the field. I think the game, no knock on Belichick, but he's 74 years old. Having to go to do the college route might be a little bit tougher to get all that going. But on top of all that, having your girlfriend on Dunkin' Donuts commercials with you, doing all this other stuff, it becomes a gigantic headache. So I think that impact is going to make recruiting easier around here and really lessen the aura around Bill Belichick that I think a lot of folks assumed was going to happen when he took that UNC job. I think folks, I believe I had tons of comments and tweets at me that said, Bill Belichick is just going to come back to Massachusetts and grab whatever recruits he wants because he's Bill Belichick, and Bill O'Brien won't have anything to do with it. Well, this circus is going to make that a lot less impactful than if he just went out there and won football games. It's so interesting because this is literally the antithesis of everything that Bill Belichick stood for the last 30 years. This was a guy that was, I'm a huge fan of him from the Patriots, sitting there like a troll with his cut off sleeves and looking miserable all the time. From that, but winning lots and lots of football games to whatever the heck this is, it's going to change his ability to run his program. And if that happens, then it's not going to impact BC as much as folks think. I think that BC, Bill O'Brien, Jonathan DiBiaso, and his crew have done an amazing job recruiting locally. And as long as BC continues to improve on the field, that's only going to get easier. And I look at North Carolina, I don't know what's going on down there. Whatever it is, it's not productive. On tomorrow's show, we'll dive more into recruiting. We'll get into everything going on in the world of college football. Thank you all for listening. You can follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. You can check me out on Eagle Insider. I'm part of the 247 network. It's a great place to get all your Boston College news. We have everything there from football to baseball to women's lacrosse. It's all covered. Come on over to Eagle Insider and check out. There's lots of free stuff. And if you want to become a subscriber too, you can do that as well. I'll see you guys all again tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Boston College. Your team every